The galaxy had been quiet for decades. Traders moved between systems, and small disputes were solved before they became wars. But humans had always been different. They built weapons not just to defend, but to win. Many alien civilizations feared them, yet some also admired their courage. When the war began, no one expected it to spread so quickly. Whole fleets clashed, planets burned, and soldiers on both sides discovered how fragile peace really was. On one of the hidden bases, far from the main battlefield, an alien girl named Serum worked as a courier. She was not a soldier, nor a commander. She was young, curious, and never thought she would face war so directly. Her people had blue skin, tall ears, and strange patterns glowing faintly under their skin. Serum had always been told to stay away from humans. They were dangerous, unpredictable, and carried inside them a strange fire no alien could copy. That day, she entered a storage room that was strictly forbidden. The air smelled of metal and smoke, and the floor was marked with heavy boots. Inside the chamber were strange containers with warning signs in human languages. She could not read them, but she felt the danger. Still, curiosity pulled her closer. One of the glass vials had cracked slightly. The liquid inside glowed faint green, and a sharp metallic smell rose into the air. Serum leaned forward. She thought it might be medicine or food. She had never seen anything like it. Her people had few medicines, and she had heard humans had created powerful ones. Without thinking, she touched the vial. The glass broke, spilling the glowing liquid across her fingers. She gasped. The substance was warm, alive, and pulsed like blood. She raised her hand to her lips before realizing what she had done. A drop touched her tongue. A heartbeat later, she swallowed. Her chest tightened. Heat spread through her body. Her veins burned as if fire raced inside them. She fell to her knees, clutching her throat, but she did not die. Instead, her heart pounded harder and harder, and her vision sharpened. Every sound in the room became clear, every light brighter. She looked at her own hands and saw the glowing patterns on her skin turn brilliant. As if lightning ran through her dot at first, she thought she was poisoned. But then she felt strength. Her arms no longer trembled. Her breathing became deep and powerful. The floor under her palms cracked as if her fingers held too much force. She screamed in shock, her voice shaking the walls. Behind her, heavy footsteps echoed. Human soldiers, dressed in armor, rushed in. They had left the serum in storage for testing, never expecting an alien to touch it. Their rifles were raised, their eyes wide as they saw Serum glowing in the dark chamber. One of them cursed under his breath. "That's the military serum, she drank it," he shouted. Serum stumbled back, fear and confusion twisting her thoughts. She did not know what they meant, but she knew one thing. Her body was no longer her own. The power running inside her felt alive, hungry, almost uncontrollable. The soldiers pointed their weapons at her. She raised her hand, trying to beg them not to shoot. But the moment her palm moved, a shockwave blasted from her, knocking them against the walls. Metal bent. Sparks flew. She had not even touched them. She stood frozen, her eyes wide, her breath sharp and fast. She whispered to herself, What is happening to me?" The soldiers struggled to rise. They stared at her not just with fear, but with awe. They had trained for years, yet this alien girl, who had never fought a day in her life, carried more strength than all of them combined. Serum looked at the broken vial still glowing faintly on the floor. She realized too late, whatever humans had created was not medicine. It was a weapon. And now it lived inside her. The room was filled with smoke and sparks. The human soldiers struggled to stand after the blast. Serum's body trembled as she tried to understand what she had just done. Her chest still burned with fire, her hands shook, and her eyes glowed brighter than before. She looked around, searching for a way to escape, but her legs felt heavy. like they carried the weight of an entire star. One soldier shouted, "Do not move, stay down." His voice was sharp, but Sarai could hear fear hiding beneath it. She raised her hands slowly, her fingers trembling. I did not mean to," she whispered, her voice breaking. Her words were soft, but they echoed across the chamber as if carried by some strange force. The soldiers aimed their weapons again. Sarai felt her heart race. Every heartbeat shook, her chest like thunder. The serum inside her blood seemed to respond to her fear. The glowing patterns on her skin pulsed faster, brighter. She could feel energy gathering in her arms, in her chest, in her throat, as if her body had become a living weapon. One soldier fired. The sound cracked like lightning. The bullet rushed toward her, but Sarai's arm moved on its own. A wave of invisible force burst from her palm, bending the air. The bullet froze mid-air, then dropped harmlessly to the ground. All of them froze in shock. So did she. Sarai stared at her hand. "This is not me," she whispered. "This is not me." The Viva. Soldiers exchanged quick glances. One of them, older, with scars across his face, lowered his weapon slowly. His voice was calmer than the others. "She doesn't know what she is doing," he said. "Look at her. She's terrified." But another soldier stepped forward, anger burning in his eyes. "It doesn't matter. That serum is ours. If she keeps it, she becomes a threat not just to us but to everyone. We can't let her leave alive." Sarai's heart sank. She took a step back, her heel striking the broken glass on the floor. The sound rang sharp in the silence. She did not want to fight, but she felt the serum urging her, whispering inside her mind, like a storm waiting to break free. The older soldier raised his hand to stop the others. "Wait, think. This is our chance to see what the serum does outside. A human body. Command will want her alive." The room went silent again. Sarai's breathing was fast, shallow. She stared at them, realizing she was trapped. Whether they wanted her dead or alive, both choices felt like chains around her neck. She shook her head, whispering to herself, "I only wanted to see. I did not want this." Her voice cracked with panic. The lights above flickered. A loud alarm began to ring across the base. The humans looked at each other, confused. Then the sound of footsteps echoed from the hallway's many footsteps. It was not just soldiers. It was Sarai's own people. The aliens had discovered the hidden base. Blaster fire rattled outside. The walls shook. Screams filled the air. The war that felt far away had come crashing into the room. The human soldiers cursed. Some aimed their weapons at the door. Others kept their eyes on Sarai, unsure if she was now their prisoner, their enemy, or something far worse. Sarai's body tensed. Her instincts told her to run, but the serum inside whispered something else. It whispered of strength, of power, of victory. Her glowing eyes locked on the door where her people fought to break in. For a moment, she felt pulled in two directions. The soldiers stared at her. One shouted, "If you care about living, you'll stand with us." Another spat, "No, she's one of them. She'd kill us all." Sarai's throat tightened. She wanted to scream. She wanted to cry. But more than anything, she wanted to escape this nightmare. Her hands burned with energy, her skin glowing brighter, and her heartbeat echoed like war drums. The door exploded inward. Her people rushed in, weapons blazing, eyes fierce with rage. And in the middle of the chaos, Sarai stood, glowing like a living star, caught between humans and her own kind, between fear and power, between war and survival. And in that moment, everyone in the room realized the truth. Whatever choice she made would change the fate of both species forever. The air was thick with smoke and burning metal. The door lay in pieces, and Sarai's people stormed inside, their weapons glowing with strange alien energy. They saw her first, their young courier standing in the center of the room with her, skin glowing like lightning, For a heartbeat, they froze. Sarai? One of them whispered in shock, but the humans did not wait. They fired. Bright flashes cut through the smoke, bullets and plasma colliding with alien shields. The room turned into chaos. Sarai pressed her hands against her ears, the noise shaking her skull. The serum inside her pulsed harder and harder, pushing her. Her people shouted for her to come. The humans screamed for her to stay back. She stood frozen between them, eyes darting, chest heaving, her heart pounding like thunder. A soldier was thrown across the room as an alien beam struck his armor. He fell near Sarai's feet, groaning in pain. His helmet cracked, blood on his lips. He looked up at her, terrified, not just of the aliens, but of her. His voice was weak. "Help me, please." Sarai stared. Her instincts screamed at her to run to her people, but something inside her would not move. The serum whispered again, showing her the man's heartbeat, the heat in his body, the pain burning inside his chest. She saw it all as if his life was connected to her own. She dropped to her knees, placing her glowing hands against his armor. Energy flowed from her like a river. The wound sealed, the blood stopped, and the soldier gasped in shock as strength returned to his limbs. Everyone around froze at the sight. Both human and alien turned their heads. Sarai's hands still glowed, but not with destruction. This time, she had healed. Her people shouted in alarm. "What are you doing? He's the enemy." The soldier coughed, staring at her with wide eyes. You saved me." Sarai's chest rose and fell quickly. She did not understand it herself. She had not chosen to heal him, the serum had chosen for her. It was more than a weapon. It was life and death in the same breath. The fighting did not stop. Blasts shook the walls. 2 of her people aimed at her, their eyes filled with fear. "She's tainted," one shouted. "She carries human poison." Sarai stepped back, her glowing eyes darting between them. Her people saw her as a threat now, not as one of their own. The humans too still aimed their weapons, not sure if she was a savior or a danger. She stood alone, belonging to no side. The older scarred soldier barked an order. "Hold fire." "Don't shoot her," but his men did not listen. Fear ran too deep. A human rifle cracked. An alien beam followed. The shots were meant for each other, but Sarai stood in the center, and the serum moved faster than thought. Her body erupted with force. A blinding wave of light exploded outward, throwing humans and aliens alike against the walls. Metal screamed. As it bent, weapons shattered. The ground itself cracked beneath her feet. When the light faded, silence filled the room. Dust floated in the air. Both sides lay groaning on the floor, too weak to rise. And Sarai stood in the middle, her chest heaving, her body glowing like a star ready to burst. Her eyes widened in horror at what she had done. I cannot stop it," she whispered. The older human soldier pulled himself up with effort. His face was pale, his eyes locked on her with a strange mix of fear and respect. "You're not just one of them anymore," he said. "You're something new, something we've never seen before." Her own people struggled to rise. One of them, her childhood friend Lyra, stared at her with tears in her eyes. "Sarai, please, come with us. Leave these monsters behind." Sarai shook her head, tears streaming down her glowing cheeks. "I don't know who I am anymore." The walls shook again. More soldiers, more aliens were coming. The battle outside was spilling in, and there would be no hiding. Sarai felt her heartbeat rising, the serum surging like a storm inside her veins. She clenched her fists, looked at both sides broken and afraid, and whispered, "If I don't choose soon, this power will choose for me." Asterisk. The battle outside roared louder, shaking the walls of the underground base. Sarai stood trembling, her skin glowing with lines of energy that refused to fade. Every breath felt like fire in her chest. Around her, humans and aliens groaned on the floor, stunned by the blast she had unleashed. She wanted to run, to escape the chaos, but her body no longer obeyed only her mind. The serum inside her pulsed like a living thing, urging her forward, whispering strange commands into her blood. It did not care for sides. It cared only for power. The older scarred human soldier staggered to his feet, leaning on his weapon like a cane. His eyes never left her. "Listen to me, girl," he said, his voice sharp but steady. "That serum was not meant for you. It was built to break men and turn them into something more. If you let it control you, it will destroy everything your people, mine, even you." Sarai shook her head, tears running down her glowing cheeks. "I didn't choose this. I only wanted to see what was inside. I never wanted," her voice cracked as she clutched her chest. "I never wanted war." Behind her, her friend Lyra crawled closer, eyes filled with fear and sorrow. "Sarai, come home. We can still take you away. We can hide you from them. Our healers will find a way to remove this poison." But another alien soldier, his face twisted with rage, shouted from the floor, "No, she's already corrupted. She's dangerous. She carries human filth in her veins. She cannot come back." Sarai froze at his words. Her heart broke, yet the serum inside her burned hotter, feeding on her pain. She looked down at her own glowing hands as if they belonged to a stranger. The room shook again as reinforcements poured in, human soldiers with heavy rifles on one side, alien warriors with curved blades and plasma guns on the other. Both groups stopped short when they saw her standing in the center, glowing brighter than the lights above. For a moment, silence fell. Then, as if by unspoken agreement, both sides aimed their weapons not at each other, but at her. Sarai's breath caught in her throat. "No, please," she whispered. The first shot rang out. Then another. Bullets, beams, and plasma fire filled the air, all meant for her. Instinct took over. The serum erupted through her body. A dome of shimmering force burst from her, deflecting the storm of fire. Bullets flattened against the barrier, beams scattered like sunlight in water, and explosions fizzled into sparks. When the smoke cleared, she still stood, untouched. But the effort left her shaking. Her knees bent, her chest heaved, and her eyes glowed like molten fire. The soldiers hesitated. Fear was written across their faces. None of them had ever seen power like this. Sarai's voice rose, trembling but sharp. "Why? Why do you all look at me as if I am only a weapon? I did not want this." Her cry shook the room. But the serum twisted her words, echoing them louder, as if the air itself carried her sorrow like thunder. The scarred soldier raised his hand. "Stop firing, can't you see? She's losing control. If we push her further, she'll bring this whole base down on us." His warning came too late. Another alien fired. The bolt struck her shield and rebounded, hitting 3 humans. They fell with screams, blood spraying across the walls. Rage flared in their comrades. They opened fire again. Sarai screamed, dropping to her knees. The serum within her answered with raw fury. Her shield shattered, and in its place, a wave of destruction ripped outward. Walls cracked, lights burst, and men were thrown like dolls. Dust rained from the ceiling as metal supports bent and groaned. When it ended, silence filled the ruins of the chamber. Bodies lay everywhere, human and alien alike, groaning or still. The air smelled of blood and smoke. Sarai stood at the center, glowing brighter than ever, her face twisted with horror. "I can't stop it," she whispered. "Every time I try, I only make it worse." Her friend Lyra dragged herself closer, tears running down her face. "Sarai, please. You are still you. Don't let their poison take your soul." The scarred soldier forced himself up, his voice low but steady. "She's not poison, girl. She's the future. The question is what kind?" Sarai looked between them, her chest heaving. Her people called her tainted. The humans called her a weapon. And inside her veins, the serum laughed, waiting for her to choose. The base groaned like a wounded beast. Smoke rose from broken walls, and sparks hissed from shattered machines. Human soldiers and alien warriors lay scattered, too weak to rise, their eyes fixed on the glowing figure at the center of the ruin. Sarai stood trembling, her skin pulsing with light, her chest rising and falling as if she had run for miles. The serum inside her roared louder with every heartbeat. It was no longer a whisper. It was a storm. Her mind swam between voices. One was her own, crying for peace, begging to be free. The other belonged to the serum, cold and powerful, urging her to stop fighting and accept what she had become. You are stronger than them, it hissed in her blood. You are above them. Why suffer their hate when you can rule them? Sarai covered her ears as if she could silence it, but the voice was not outside, it was inside her very bones. She shook her head, desperate. No, I don't want this. From the floor, her childhood friend Lyra reached out weakly. Sarai, you are still one of us. You are still my sister. Fight it, please. But the older, scarred human soldier pulled himself to his knees, blood running down his face. His gaze was steady, sharp, filled with a strange respect. Girl, listen. That thing inside you, don't fight it like an enemy. Control it. Bend. If you run, it'll eat you alive. The two voices, alien loyalty and human warning, pulled at her heart. Her people wanted her back, though some called her tainted. The humans wanted to use her, though some feared her. And the serum wanted her to give up her soul. Before she could answer, the ground shook again. The sound of engines thundered above. Dust rained from the ceiling. Both sides froze, their eyes lifting. They've called reinforcements, one soldier groaned out. Another alien whispered in fear. The fleets are coming. Outside, war still burned. And now the battle above was moving closer. If the ceiling fell, none of them would survive. Sarai clenched her fists. Heat surged in her veins. The serum responded to her fear, sending another wave of light crawling across her skin. For a moment, the chamber glowed as if a second sun had risen underground. Everyone stared at her, their fear now mixed with something else. Hope. The scarred soldier whispered, almost to himself, she could end this war. But Lyra shook her head, tears falling fast. Or she could end everything. Sarai staggered back, her hands clutching her chest. She could feel it, power like fire, enough to tear the base apart, enough to shatter armies, enough to burn fleets in the sky. The serum begged her to unleash it. Her knees buckled. She saw flashes in her mind, visions forced into her by the serum. She saw herself tearing through ships like paper. She saw humans kneeling. She saw aliens bowing. She saw herself crowned by fire and war. No. She screamed, pressing her hands against her head. The vision shattered like glass, leaving her gasping for breath. The scarred soldier's voice cut through the silence. Listen to me, girl. You have one choice. Either you decide what you are, or that thing will decide for you. And if it decides, none of us will walk out alive. Lyra's voice broke as she pleaded. Sarai, you don't have to choose war. Come back with us. Let the serum die with you. We will hide. We will protect you. Sarai looked at them both, her heart breaking. Her glowing eyes darted between human and alien, friend and foe, past and future. Both wanted something different. Neither offered peace. She looked at her own hands, hands that had destroyed, hands that had healed. For the first time, she wondered if she was no longer either alien or human. Perhaps she was something new, something both sides feared, because they could not control it. The serum burned hotter, waiting for her choice. Above, the thunder of ships grew louder. Explosions shook the ground. Time was running out. Sarai's voice trembled. but it carried across the chamber with strange force. If I choose wrong, this war will never end. But if I do nothing, both sides will die here. The light around her grew brighter, casting long shadows on the walls. Every soldier, every warrior held their breath. Sarai closed her eyes, lifted her hands, and whispered, "Then I will choose for myself." The serum roared inside her veins, ready to obey. The next moment would decide not just her fate but the fate of two entire species. The chamber glowed brighter and brighter until it was hard to look at her. Sarai stood in the center, eyes closed, arms raised, the serum roaring through her blood like a storm at its peak. Dust shook loose from the ceiling, sparks rained down. Everyone, human, alien, watched in silence, too afraid to move. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Then Sarai opened her eyes. They no longer looked like the soft blue of her people. They burned with golden light, brighter than the weapons pointed at her. She took a slow breath, and her voice carried across the chamber, calm but unshakable. "I am not only alien. I am not human either. I am something new, and I will not let your war destroy me." The scarred human soldier lowered his rifle, staring at her with awe. Lyra wept softly, whispering her name. Even those who had called her tainted now held their fire, struck silent by the force of her presence. But the war outside did not stop. Explosions rattled the ground. The base shook again, and stones began to fall from above. Fleets clashed in the skies, soldiers marched, and death still hunted both sides. Sarai clenched her fists. The serum pulsed with her will, not against it. For the first time, she did not feel like a prisoner. She felt in control. The glowing lines across her skin flared as she stretched her arms wide. A low hum filled the chamber, building into a vibration that shook the walls. Then the energy burst upward through the broken ceiling, shooting like a pillar of light into the sky above. Everyone shielded their eyes as the ground stopped shaking. The sound of battle outside faded into silence. Ships that had been firing halted mid-strike. Soldiers on both sides lowered their weapons, staring at the beam of light rising from the base like a second sundot in that silence. Sarai's voice thundered across the battlefield, carried not just by sound but by something deeper, as if the serum itself was amplifying her soul. "Enough. This war ends now." Her words rolled through the air like a wave. Soldiers dropped to their knees, not from force, but from the weight of her power. Commanders stared, stunned, unable to give orders. Both human and alien fleets stopped firing, their crews frozen in awe. Sarai slowly lowered her arms. The beam of light shrank back into her body until only a faint glow remained. She staggered, her strength fading, but she stood tall. Her eyes still shone like stars as she looked around the chamber. "No more killing," she whispered. "Not for me, not for you. If I must carry this power, then I will use it to protect life, not destroy it." Her people looked at her with shock, some with shame. Lyra crawled closer, her voice trembling. "Sarai, you've become more than we ever imagined." The scarred soldier nodded slowly. "You're no weapon. You're the proof that neither side understands what power really means." Sarai looked between them, her friend, her enemy, and shook her head gently. "Not enemy, not friend, just life, and life must go on." She turned toward the ruined doorway, her steps unsteady but strong. Outside, soldiers from both armies were gathering, their weapons lowered, their eyes wide. None dared to fire. None dared to speak. Sarai stepped into the open sky. The fleets hovered above like giants frozen in fear. The beam she had unleashed still glowed faintly in the clouds, painting the heavens with golden light. She lifted her hand not to attack, but to calm. "Go home," she said softly, though her words echoed like thunder. "Tell your leaders, this war is over. If you fight again, I will stand between you." Not as human, not as alien, but as the proof that we are more than our blood. Silence followed. Then slowly the ships turned. Soldiers lowered their banners. The battle ended, not with victory, but with surrender to something greater. Sarah's knees finally gave way. Lyra rushed to her side, catching her before she fell. The scarred soldier stepped forward, his eyes filled with quiet respect. "She saved us all," he murmured as the dust settled and the fleets withdrew. Sarai looked at the horizon. For the first time, she felt peace. The serum inside her was still burning, still alive, but it no longer controlled her. She had bent it to her will. And though she did not know what tomorrow would bring, she knew one thing. She had changed the fate of two species. Not by destroying them, but by forcing them to see a truth they had long forgotten. That sometimes power was not about war. It was about choosing peace when no one else could.